Hello, everyone. I'm Jade Romero, as I'm sure most of y'all know. This presentation is just going to be going over my junior year, what led up to it, what I did during it, and what I hope to accomplish after it. Before we start, though, I just have to apologize. I'm so sorry that this is not who I am without my green glasses. So they broke the other day, so you have to bear with me with these wiry glasses, but okay. So last year we left off on what I was going to be doing in the summer. And luckily enough, I had the opportunity to go to DC and intern at the College of Information and Cyberspace at National Defense University. This was a really interesting opportunity because I kind of went into it straight from being abroad for 5 months, and then I went straight into being again away from home for another handful of months. So it's kind of just gone, 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 gone. And though I was a little bit nervous to be away from home that long, it ended up being one of the best experiences I could have ever been through. And so what I was doing there was essentially serving as a research intern, and I was working on different DoD AI strategies that could be utilized within the greater IC and within the university itself. And then the chancellor of the university actually came up to me because she learned from the professor I was working under that I had like some sort of data analysis skills. And she was like, hey, like we have this problem with a lot of redundancies within the courses of the university. And she essentially asked me to create a really big database within Power BI. And so that was like one of the, right here you can see is just like some of the data that we used for it, but don't want to go too much into it. But yeah, it was a really heavy data science role, which translated nice into this semester. So yeah, it was a really fun opportunity. And a large part of it was dealing with military jargon because again, it was on Fort McNair base. So I was surrounded by active duty and retired military officials. And right here, these two pictures, this one right here and this one are from the campus. It was a very beautiful campus and base. And another part of it was a lot of the workers tried to get me to join the military after I graduated. Like we took a field trip to Alexandria, and they're like, we're in the car, and then one of my bosses was like, hey, like, have you considered the reserves? And then he was like, he gave me so many resources for the UTSA ROTC, and I was like, okay, yeah, like I'll consider it. And then Chris was shaking her head. But yeah, guys, I was this close to putting on a military uniform and joining the military, but I can safely say that that will not be the case. So yeah, and of course, with being around a lot of military officials, there's a lot of different beliefs that people hold, and this was at times really hard for me because, like this picture right here, this was in every single like computer lab there. It's a Snowden image, and it's of course like not in favor of Snowden, and that doesn't necessarily align with my beliefs. And so I remember I had a conversation with one of the workers there, and he was like, yeah, like it was horrible. It was a threat to national security and this and that. I was like, okay, like that's interesting. So not only did it just like being around people who carry different beliefs allow me to understand different perspectives, but it was just a really a nice way to hold meaningful dialogues with people. Apart from the internship, DC truly is a hub for civic engagement. And this was especially true for what I learned that this was true whenever I was living with 8 girls. So it was kind of chaotic, but it was also nice because we went to various different marches out, whether it was outside of the White House or just along any of the main streets. So I went to a few Palestinian marches, and then I went to the Pride Day festival. And it was really nice because we got to walk alongside the mayor. But yes, and then also on top of all this, I was also taking an economics class for policy at GMU University. This was nice. I gained a newfound appreciation for economics majors, finance majors even. So yeah, it was nice. It was just a nice way to change my way of thinking. So it wasn't so data heavy. And then also I was able to explore DC with some of my friends. I got into running. I went to a lot of cafes, and it was a very small world, I realized. I remember I was on a run and I ran into, guess who? Margot. It was really random. And I was also able to see Dylan, Tejas, Grace, and Catherine. So it was, oh, and Janelle. So it was really fun. So yeah, that was the summer in summary. Now going into the fall semester, I kind of wanted to quickly point out like three courses that I took that were really meaningful and allowed me to grow as a person. So first we have my terrorism and counterterrorism class that I took with General Schaefer. This was my very first night lecture, and I wasn't too sure how that was going to play out. I was like, oh, like ending class at 9 p.m. That doesn't sound like too good, but I ended up really falling in love with that class and the way that General Schaefer taught. It allowed me to converse or have meaningful conversations with the people in my class because the class size was about 10 people. And a large part of it was going up every week and having presentations and talking about the Iraq War, what it means, what terrorism actually means. So it was a really nice seminar, and I was encouraged by Jasmine, Catherine, Grace, and I think that was it, like to take this course because they all said nothing but good things about it, and I'm really glad that I was able to take it. And next I took global energy with Dr. Stefanova, and this is a really nice round or like big circle moment because the professor of that was Dr. Stefanova, and Dr. Stefanova was the very first professor I ever talked to here at UTSA. She was my faculty meeting during selection. And so I had reached out to her freshman year and to see what courses she was teaching, and this was the first one I was able to take, and so it was really nice to have her in a formal setting. And that picture, I was analyzing like the energy grid and just kind of learning more about environmental aspects of it. And then finally, I wanted to highlight the IGO class I took, so Intergovernmental Organizations with Dr. Hofferberg. This class was really fun because a large part of it was my semester project, which was a paper analyzing how different IGOs, and I specifically chose the United Nations Environmental Program to talk about their impact or their use of social media and their impact. And I was able to use what I learned in the summer with the data science and Power BI to create a graph and like analyze the APIs to see just how impactful it was in terms of reaching different audiences. So yeah, those three courses were really fun. I think my fall semester was my favorite semester in terms of coursework. And then moving on to extracurriculars, I was able to intern with Joaquin Castro, who is the District 20 congressman, and I certainly would not have been able to do that if it wasn't for Kayla, who one told me about the opportunity and two allowed me to talk her ear off in terms of preparing for the interview, asking questions about what it meant to actually be an intern and whether or not I'd be a good fit. So I can't thank her enough for putting up with me during that process. And it was a really enriching opportunity because I got to work with constituents, look at casework, and see what it's like see how local government operates at a congressional level. And that's something I hadn't been able to experience before. Yes, and then in addition to that, I was also the Datathon design team lead, which I'll talk more about in the next slide because I think that took up a large chunk of my time, so I want to go a little bit more into that. In addition to that, I randomly applied for Ignite National PR chair, and because I saw it and I was like, oh, like this looks fun, let me apply. So I became the PR chair, and we were able to host multiple events. But my job specifically was to create, or was basically outreach and managing the Instagram and making sure we get people to show up to our events. Because it was evident in like the first few events that we didn't have that big of a turnout, but kind of just like using Instagram as a platform to encourage people to come and show them like what we're doing is really a great way to do that. So yeah, that was really fun. We got to go to okay, wait, it's blocking it here, but we were able to go to Ignite at the Capitol where we were advocating for women's reproductive rights and equity in the greater education realm. And then one of my SMART goals actually was to compete in Alamo Model UN conference, and this was not only was it sponsored by Dr. Hopperberth, so I had class with him. He was like encouraging me to do it, and I was like, okay, like I'll do it. So I finally did it. I was able to represent Honduras actually in what chamber was I in? I forgot what chamber I was in, but it was a really nice experience because I hadn't done Model UN since middle school, and that was that's like a laughable excuse of me doing like Model UN already. So yeah, it was a really good experience. I got voted best delegate by the chair, so that was fun. And then I forgot to mention this picture. I don't have any pictures with Joaquin Castro like at my disposal, so I just edited us together. But finally, I was also able to be involved with the greater scholar community as the peer care director. So it's like hosting events. My personal favorite was the mock-sum night. It was a hit last year, so I wanted to do it again this year. And I think it was a great way to kick off the semester and bring all the scholars together, specifically the younger scholars who haven't had the opportunity to engage with the rest of the community as much as the rest of us have. So that was neat, and I had a lot of fun doing that. So yeah, those are the main extracurriculars that I was involved in the fall. And then for fun, I was able to hang out with a lot of my friends, go to concerts. This was actually with Hector and Jazz Fest. We went to see Girl Ultra on Halloween. It was really fun. And then I also went to Austin. Then we went to some First Fridays. So yeah. Now moving on to going into more depth about Datathon. I think this year went really well. I had the opportunity to be the team lead for the design team. So our team was a bit small. We were very mighty. I kind of realized a lot about my things throughout this experience. It was kind of just like, not everyone is going to have the same idea of what like a good design is. And that's like completely okay. So it kind of looked like me throwing out a bunch of designs that took hours to create and just for people to be like, no, like that's not what we're looking for. I was like, okay, like no worries, we'll go again. We'll start from square one. But ultimately these were the shirts that we designed or that I designed. It was like simple, but our theme was kind of like Camp Forest, and I think they turned out really well. We were even able to have like a specific organizer sweatshirt. And the day of the event was just a really big success because our goal was to have like 100 people like actually show up. But we got well over 150, and that was honestly a really big achievement because last year the event turnout was really lacking. But I get like again, it was just a really great success this year. And next year it looks like I'll be the main director for the 4th annual Datathon. So I'm really excited to see or to transition away from overlooking design to overlooking the entire thing and working in tandem or in working together with the NSA and kind of dealing with funds on their end and just making sure that everything aligns with the NSA values. So I'm excited about that. And I can't wait to create a team to make that happen. Next, I forgot to include this in extracurriculars, but so in the summer, I was able to work or to find out about IPA, not the beer, but Information Professional Association. And essentially what this is it's just a way to bring experts together to learn about cognitive security and disruptive technologies. And I was able to learn about this from one of my advisors, Dr. Andrew Wiskieman. Really cool last name. But he told Ari, who was one of my coworkers in the summer, about like this program, and we're like, no way, this is super cool because information, like it's such a simple word, but it's something that's really important, especially within the national security sector. And so this organization is to just get more people involved in that and learn more about the importance of it. But Ari and I quickly realized that the people who are involved in IPA are older people. Like there's like very little like younger people who know what it is, who are involved or actively involved, I should say. So we saw that as a gap and we wanted to find ways to bridge that gap. And so we talked with Dr. Wiskieman and we're like, hey, like, what can we do? Is there a possibility for us to be a student ambassador in order to get more people from our local universities to like join the charter or the chapter, sorry. And so thus arose my journey with IPA and as an official student ambassador. And so it's been a bit difficult trying to like get this officially incorporated with UTSA just because there are a lot of trials and tribulations with that. But something we've been able to do is work with TIM or Trust in Media and IPA to help create a symposium about Beyond the Noise. And so essentially it was just about letting people know about generative AI and the effects of it and its like harmful, how it's harmful to the environment and what it can mean for the greater information sector. So yeah, this has been a really engaging opportunity. And I'm really glad that I've been able to continue working with Ari, who again was a great person and who is a great person that I met in the summer. So that's one of the things I was involved in and I'm continuing to. So next semester, I really hope to really officially bring it to UTSA. Yeah. Okay, moving on to this semester. So again, I want to go into like two courses that really stood out to me this semester. And one of them is national security. And yes, I am taking another night lecture with General Schaefer. This class is very different from the terrorism and counterterrorism course because one, it is a lot bigger. And two, it's just like we're analyzing the intelligence community from a very different angle than we did in the terrorism class. And it's again really rewarding. And one of my favorite things I get to do again, it follows the same pattern as we present weekly. We present with our groups and we find one case study to talk about. And one of my favorite ones that we talked about is Operation Mincemeat, and that's what that photo is on the right-hand side. Essentially, they got a fake body or real body, and then they faked the death of it, like the cause of death to or basically disrupt military plans. And it was really interesting learning about it and teaching the rest of the class about it. And so that's kind of like the tone of the class. And then my other class that I wanted to highlight is data science. I have the opportunity to take it with Mr. Michael. Although it's online, it's really nice. It's 8 weeks. It's 2 8-week courses. 3 8-week courses, and it's really fun to get to like use my data science skills that I really honed in on the summer and again during the fall semester into an actual class. Yeah, so the picture on the bottom is just my most recent project. I was building a game. Basically, it was a story, and at the end, it generated a poem. It was really fun to make, and honestly, it was like more relaxing than anything. Like it was a project. I was like, oh no, like this is gonna be scary, but no, it was actually really fun and rewarding to make. So yeah. And then moving on to extracurriculars, again, still ongoing with Ignite National and also TSSO, was able to host more events with that. And then as far as selection went, that was one of the big events of our scholar community, and I was able to lead the parent panel, which I think went fairly well. I enjoyed being able to have like really amazing scholars ask questions and just really encourage the parents and reinforce the fact that this is a good community for their kids. So I was really happy to be a part of that, and just lead a team of really awesome scholars. And yeah, so that was really fun. And then two other things I was doing throughout this semester was auditing 2 courses. So I was working with, I wanted to take another data science class because I feel like I had a really big gap that I needed to fill. Because last spring I wasn't taking any data science or computer science courses because again, I was abroad and I didn't have access to those courses like at the specific university I was at. So I wanted to make sure that I wasn't forgetting any of my fundamental things of computer science. So I found this Harvard course with
Okay, real quickly, time check, you have 10 minutes remaining.
Oh, okay, I'm almost done. Sorry. So anyways, I added 2 courses. One of them was a public policy one, and one of them was an AI course. So that was fun. They're really rewarding. Yeah, and I got a cool certificate. And then I also was able to participate in the COPA research poster presentation. And then this Friday, actually, I'll be participating in the IAEA. So I forget what the acronym stands for. It's International Atomic Energy Agency, and I'll be representing the US, talking about nuclear non-proliferation and the future of it. So yeah, and then for fun, the 3 C's: concerts, cooking, and cafes, and camping. We can add that because we went this weekend. So that was this semester. And then quickly wrapping up, summer plans. What will I be doing this summer? So I will actually be staying here for the summer, and I'll be working with Connect, or the Consortium on Nuclear Security Technologies, and I'll be working on the policy team alongside Kieran Donaldson, who is a really awesome student that I've been able to connect with in all my GLA courses. And I'll also be again working with Dr. Hofferberg. And in addition to that, I'll be taking 10 days off and going to participate in the Nurturing Hope program in Northern Ireland. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to go with Dr. Emma Tangelo, because although I've heard so much about her and it's been nothing but amazing things, I've never been able to truly connect with her on a more personal level. So I'm really excited to go with her, and along with the other 3 students, the UK and the EU and the greater overseas area. I couldn't stay away. So I'm really excited about that. And then I quickly wanted to wrap up with this one Instagram post that I saw in December, I think, and it really stuck with me. So I try to ask myself this question all the time. Does this align with the life I'm trying to create? And I feel like this can be applied to everyone, or everyone should be able to ask themselves this and pivot or not pivot accordingly. It's something I really wanted to share because it truly defined my spring semester specifically, in terms of what I was doing and that. That's it.
Well, Jade, it sounds like you had a very successful year. Very, very proud of you. All the amazing things that you're doing and all the different organizations that you're a part of. Just want to say shout out to your officer role and the director of peer care. All the scholars tell me that they have a lot of fun doing your event. So looks like you found events that students will really resonate with. So I really appreciate your leadership within TSSO and your leadership with the other orgs that you are a part of that are lucky to have you be a part of. And so super excited about Carmilla, about you being in the Connect Lab. I know that you've been wanting to leave San Antonio. I'm excited that you're going to get to leave San Antonio.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. Thank you.
I am equally thrilled to hear about your upcoming nurturing thing